Whenever you're ready. I'd like to call our meeting to order today. And the first order of business is to move us to convene in an executive session. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to convene into executive session for approval of executive session minutes for September 3rd, 2024. Review and/or approval of matters which relate to the privacy of students and their records pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A8. Homeschool requests, potential litigation pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A2. To review and/or approve matters which relate to the privacy of students and their records pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A8 homeschool requests, paraprofessional associations and the ARI pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42465A2 collective bargaining, Morel versus Town of Scituate pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42465A2 pending litigation and potential litigation pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42465A2.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Chris. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and the first thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Prior to open session, we were convened into executive session, and there were 3 votes taken, and the rest of the items were also discussed during that time. I don't know if you'd like to just mention where the exits are.
You could, they're right there.
Okay. The exits are right there. That's
Safety first.
safety for us. Um, I'd like to,
Do you want to go through the consent and then we can move out of order?
yeah, I want to do the consent, and we're going to take some items out of order because some of the parents are here tonight that might be interested in a couple of the items on the agenda. So we'll try to move those up front.
So I make a motion to, where am I? Pass the consent agenda to include regular session minutes for September 3rd, bills from general funds in the amount of $770,089.27, grant fund bills in the amount of $133,439.48, Northwest special education bills in the amount of $8,146.70, and food service bills in the amount of $13,787.23.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'd like to have a motion to move item number,
Six, I make a
Six,
motion
yeah.
to move new business item number 6 out of order and present it prior to public comment.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve a press box for Cato Field using one-time dollars that cannot be invested into anything that continues year to year. Up to the amount of 100,000, we are getting a one-time windfall back as a one-time reimbursement from the Northern Collaborative. And these are dollars that we would use to finish the concession and the press box. Again, it would be to purchase the press box, to purchase the sound system for the press box, and to also include expenses that are related to the installation of the press box, as well as the movement of the concession stand. Do I have a second, or do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. If anybody's here for the press box, you may leave. Okay, we're going to move to public comment. And if you'd like to come up and make if you have a question or you'd like to make a comment, please come up and state your name, and your address.
It's Matthew Allen, 159 Hope
Mhm.
Furnace Road. I actually have a couple. My son goes to Hope. You guys all know that. I actually have some pictures that I would just wonder if we could get fixed. Like, our bricks are coming off the building of the entrance that where the all the kids come in and parents go to pick up their kids. And a couple holes in the fence. Again, safety. My kid. Some of them they could get out under if not paying attention. It only takes 3 seconds for them to get on that road. Um, so and a bathroom wall in the cafeteria, little boy's bathroom.
Okay. I'm gonna call Jason to up, and Jason, I'm assuming you're shaking your head, you know some of these issues. Can you just speak to some of those repairs and when you think you might be able to review them and assess the situation and when you
Yeah,
think
so
you might have to get them
I
done?
already contacted our mason to
Oh,
come
good.
and repair
All right, good.
the entrance there. I actually was kind of not too quick to respond because the new vestibule got installed today, and I didn't know if there was going to be any messing with that area. It's right in the same area. So now that it's all done, I can schedule that and have it all set.
Okay, and the other two issues with the fence as well as the
That
bathroom?
is the boys' bathroom by the cafeteria. That is all the block bills coming out and peeling
Okay.
down. And then there's holes and missing pipes in the fence.
The
Okay.
beauty part of those are things that my department can just handle those. So.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for
ma'am.
bringing that to our attention.
Can I say something?
Sure.
It- so that if you have concerns, you don't have to wait like
Right.
once a month to come here. I was wondering if you brought this to the attention of the principal at Hope.
I just figured I was gonna send an email and then I was like, you know what? I'm better in person than writing it on words.
Well, you're more than happy
So-
to come in public comment to say that, but I think with Erica is mentioning, we have a great principal.
Let's
Oh,
say,
I complained to her a lot about other things, so
Yeah.
this wasn't really.
I just
I
want to
just
say
figured-
that hypothetically, let's say you found something tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't want you to
Don't
feel like you have to
wait.
wait a whole
Yeah.
other month to come to these meetings.
And there's one other thing which you guys might not have any other control over. Something about the speed. I know you guys aren't officers, but 116, they're flying down. We've got parents walking their kids. We do have somebody that is out there with a stop sign, but it's dangerous. We almost get T-bone coming out, the parents, because they just fly down. Again, I know you're not officers
you
and stuff
know,
like that.
I think
I don't
what
know if we can get
the
something more than a
The
school.
superintendent can actually put a referral into the traffic committee, and let's get them down there to study that and see whether or not there's something they can do to slow down.
There was an officer
cars.
there today,
Oh, good.
but multiple times, even one of the high five Fridays, he was walking back to his car and he jumped out in the middle of the road and stopped people because they were flying down. Well, people are trying, if you know,
Maybe they
Hope-
need to put a speed bump there or something.
I don't know if
Those are, yeah, obviously beyond our control, but
Yeah.
certainly
yes,
something we
again,
can-
just
They can
Yeah.
recommend it.
or a flashing light to remind them.
Yeah.
It just says school
Schools,
zone.
Yeah.
School zone.
exactly. Yeah.
You- you-
The traffic safety committee.
The traffic
in
safety
conjunction with
committee
Chief of
is,
police is,
yeah.
is
He's
we're gonna say Hope School, I would also recommend the other schools as well,
North
because the
Scituate,
high
yeah.
school is just as bad.
well, and again, minus Clayville being tucked off on that. I'm not saying they don't fly there. I've seen parents fly there too,
but
but
that's a main
North-
drag, yeah.
yeah, North Scituate, the high school. I'm sure there are others. I don't know if there was something that you guys could
They
get a
have-
grant for, a flashing
yeah.
light, something.
I do know the traffic committee has looked at traffic around, especially the high school. That's why we have the new way. There's a one way. Brockland Road is definitely a speedway. I wish that, they could do something about slowing the traffic down. And I'm sure that where you are at 116
Yeah.
is just as
It's
dangerous.
like I said, we have somebody that does, try to stop traffic and stuff, but no one wants to step out when they're doing 45, 50 down that road.
We'll get the traffic.
All right,
committee
thank
here.
you.
Is there anyone else here tonight that would like to make a public comment? State your name and address.
Good evening, everyone. Bobby Coletta, 9 Bread Drive. I had 2 questions. I wanted to see if we were any further along on like an enrichment program for those kids that maybe are more advanced for their classrooms. As you know, in Hope Elementary School, my son's a kindergartner. He has 19 kids in his classroom. So I'm trying to understand. I know that the superintendent made mention of putting in some other services. So these kids who can read or who are a little further ahead, maybe there's a specialized program for them. So that way they are being stretched and challenged and not being bored in the classroom. So that was my
Okay.
first question.
Becca, you want to address that? I mean, obviously they have to differentiate the instruction to meet the needs of all students, but do you have any concerns that that's not happening? And is there something else that you think is needed?
Definitely put in like as many.
You gotta come on up.
We've definitely put some practices in place with as an elementary team. We've all implemented the use of IXL, which is like a digital platform for both ELA and math, and teachers are actually able to go in and set specific skills that students are working on. So even if the So even if the child is like a year or two in grade level ahead, they can actually start working on those skills. We've also put in, it's like an art SEL enrichment block where the art teacher and the kindergarten teacher are actually co-teaching, and it's kind of like an art therapy. So not necessarily like academic enrichment, but also trying to like
Call-
add
the
something
arts. Yeah.
therapeutic exactly to the children's
I
experience.
know that the initial formative assessments are very, very promising, specifically in those new classrooms.
Mhm.
Are you seeing that being remaining steady? So it looks like all the students are doing very, very well. And I understand that you have a student that I have a son that's here and another son that wasn't
I
there.
still want
I
him to
won't
be
tell you which
instructive in
one.
class. I want him to be, challenged and
Yep.
stretched, and that's what I'm looking.
Okay.
Mrs. Barlow's also put a lot of center rotations in place too, so that students are in the classroom kind of moving through the different centers with different skills that they're working on
And
during
not just
those
for my
times.
son, I mean for all
No,
these
I know. I've
because
heard
as we-
another parent ask me that too. So I would just definitely work with the principal
Mm-hmm.
who will work with the curriculum director and I'm just trying to echo what Erica would probably be saying to you. And if you feel as though that you're not satisfied and then
Yeah, I
you
don't
can
know, right?
elevate it.
I'm not in the classroom every day, so
Yeah,
I just
but
want to.
have you shared some of the formative or instructional testing news with any of the parents yet so far this year?
So we just had
Yeah,
our,
it
we
was
just had our data
last
days,
week.
yeah.
Oh,
We
okay.
were,
You must have called me that day.
For their
Okay.
data review day, and I
Yeah.
happened to be in the room when
Yeah,
Mrs.
she
Barlow
told me
was
she called.
reviewing the data for the kindergartners. And as a
Very
whole,
impressive.
that class is really strong. So we were quite pleased with all that data and spent an hour or an hour and a half talking about how we were going to continue to stretch those kids and support those kids so that they do continue to move. So, and that was just last week. So it may take another week or so for you to get some more specific information at
October 1st,
home.
so I fully
Yeah.
understand you guys are just getting involved.
Definitely. And just to put your mind at ease too, I made sure like as top priority, even though we didn't hit like the cap for para support in the contract, there are two building paras that I've assigned to kindergarten, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So aside for like
know you're
some
doing
lunch and recess duties that they have to cover, there's always that second body in there too. So
I know you're doing it. And then my second question was, for the kids that live in Hope, they're being bused to North Scituate. So I know that we had this very contentious situation all summer long. So I want to understand, I guess, how many kids are being bused outside of their district and what is the cost to that for us taxpayers? Obviously, I don't expect you guys to have answers for that now, but I think that would be something that we should take
Something-
back and
okay.
give to the public.
Okay. we
Thank
can
you.
Have that for the next meeting. Patty, can you be sure that that's on the agenda? Okay, anybody else for public comment tonight? Anybody at home for public comment? Going once? Oh, Bianca. Sorry.
Can I tell you? Yeah.
That's okay. Bianca Mancini, Hope Furnace Road. Just to confirm, thank you, first of all. Obviously, we're very grateful. Has there been any more discussion about placement and will everything stay the same?
Yes, so that has been obviously something that we wanted to be sure that we looked at. And I did speak to Matt. And it looks like that the placement of that will go beyond where the construction was, which I kind of pointed out to Matt that day, which is outside of the original construction of the field onto the grass. So,
Okay.
but we want to be sure that when it moves, we can still see the field to call the games.
Okay, so where specifically?
Where it is now, it's just going to be moved back.
How many feet?
I'm,
Do you
I'm
know?
happy to meet you at the
Okay.
field either tomorrow or someday this week, and I can show you where we think it's gonna go.
John, I think we said, was it like up 1 foot in or 6 inches in or something from where, I think Matt, we talked about, come on up, Matt. I think Matt talked a little bit about the placement. It's around that same vicinity, Matt, and I think that we thought that that would work. But I think we have to move it back.
Understood. Yeah. No. So I don't know if you can hear me on this because
Yeah.
I'm not a
It's
microphone.
actually for the people at home.
All right. So, yeah, no, I think as long, like we talked about on Saturday, I think you saw where Brian was calling the game from equivalent. So as long as it's back on the grass is fine with us. I think it actually works. pretty
Little
good.
better.
I think our concern was just how far back on the grass it had to
No,
go.
I
So
think
if it's
where
if
we-
it's a foot back on the grass, if it's 3 feet back on the grass, I think that's fine. If it's 20 feet back, then the press box becomes unusable for the
Right,
school. So
and I
we,
think, even Erica had mentioned earlier, when we were talking about this at another time, that we may, if it doesn't, we'll have to just we can move the bleachers back a little bit. So we'll make it work. You know what I mean?
I don't think the bleachers are the issue. The issue is how far back it is
Oh,
away from
because
the
they
field.
can't see
Yeah,
down.
because you can't
Okay.
see, you just can't see down the
Okay.
field. So
Yep.
again, we just want to make sure that it's
We're
usable
not
for-
going to make an investment and then not be
Well,
able to
exactly.
use
Well,
it.
that's our concern. Yeah.
So, we got it. Yeah.
I before you two leave though, I do want to say something, not leave, but step away
I
from the
understand.
microphone in case there's, it goes without saying, thank you for everything that, the boosters and, so many members have done, starting prior to you guys, and you guys have caught the bulk of a lot of what has transpired, obviously, in the last, several months. One of the things that I kind of want to be clear about, and I want to have maybe a brief discussion about, and I want to phrase this the right way because I say it with the utmost respect, in that we're so appreciative of everything that you guys have done, but this is not your full-time job, right? So at this point and I just want to have a brief discussion. So it's kind of in the district's hands now. Is that where we're all on the same place? Like whatever permits we need to do, whatever, this is our responsibility, right? Like not,
we'd like to-
and it's in no way to say
it's-
we're not you know what I mean? But
No, I
there are
think-
certain, rules and regulations we have
Yep.
to follow and everything that we,
Understood.
like all that stuff, but that's our problem now, right? Like
Yeah.
I want you guys
No, it's
to know that like you can step back. We have to take ownership of this at this point, and not to diminish anything that you guys have done. Because obviously, particularly Matt, I've heard like you've lived, eat, slept, and breathe all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
I'd be
So-
happy to turn it over to anybody.
Yeah, and
So I
we-
don't need to do that. We just want to be supportive of
yes, no, and
making
we-
sure it gets in the right spot.
vice versa, right?
But we also don't know, like you said, it's not our full-time job.
Right.
So I don't know permitting. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know anything. We just wanted to help it for the kids. I mean, neither
Yes.
one of us
And-
after this fall are going to have any kids who will ever use the field or the press box again. We just want it to be good for everybody. So that's our.
No, and no, and it's
We
from the
appreciate
vet-
it.
obviously protect the investment.
Yes, that
need also.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course, absolutely,
It takes a long time to
absolutely.
raise that money, so-
No, it does, it does. Thank you all, thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Hi, Brian Schmaling, 45 Colonial Road. I want to thank you also for the press box installation. I've been serving as the public address announcer. Can I actually try to speak into the microphone? I agree that yes, now it should be in the district's hands. I just want to make sure that in addition to the engineering consulting, all of those sort of things, that the sound system is given a lot of care. Because at the end of the day, it's a safety issue. We can't have a lot of people gathering without a way to communicate to all those people in the event of emergency. So we have to make sure that that sound system is operational, maintained, ongoing, and weatherproof. Yeah, weatherproof.
Well, it was really telling because I stopped by to see the concession stand in action, and then you should have seen the line, and it was just really good to see the kids being able to get a drink or, a piece of pizza and other snacks. But I gotta tell you, I could just about hear you. So, and that is
Yeah,
something that is a given.
I think less than 50% of the crowd was able to hear.
Yeah.
And again, I don't care if people hear the dumb stuff that I say. I do it for the kids. I want them to hear it. But really, in the event of emergency, it's the PA announcer whose job is to communicate things like parking. You're parked in the wrong spot. You need to move because an ambulance needs to get in because there's an injured
One of the
player.
things that
et
we
cetera, et
looked at
cetera.
is the quotes, not just for the physical box, but we've also looked for the quotes for the actual sound system to make sure that it's like a sound system that you would hear in any other
Excellent.
sports.
It's a point well taken
Yeah.
because I was
There's no
obviously at
sense of
homecoming.
putting it there
And
if you
I've-
still can't hear anything.
I've been
So
at numerous events and I know we had one, like, we start hearing the squeaking and you're hearing this and it just completely detracts. There was a student that did a beautiful job singing the national anthem, but it was like, you had to almost like, so there's a zillion reasons why, particularly when we've invested so much money and
Yep.
we've come so far, that it's about doing it right and making sure we have what we need to finish the product. So yeah, but
Awesome.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
we'll be
Appreciate
looking
it.
forward to that booming voice.
I'll do what I can.
Okay. Name and address.
Michaela Driscoll, 3 Burnt Hill Road. And I don't mean to go back to the bus that Bobby had mentioned, but I just wanted to bring to your attention what I see, with my children waiting for the bus. And I know this has been an issue we addressed in the summer. I'm 3 Burnt Hill Road on the beginning of the street, perpendicular to Trout Brook off Tunk Hill. A new family, it was a home for sale on Trout Brook. New family moved in right at the beginning of the school year. So a bus comes down Trout Brook, turns onto Burnt Hill, and literally that bus and my children's bus pass each other. And then they go down Burnt Hill, and I know there's a 2-family home on Burnt Hill. One side of the house goes to North Scituate, the other side of the house goes to Hope. So just for your understanding, when you look at the bus schedule in terms of 2 buses going down the same street and picking up kids, really who are going to 2 separate schools. And I know the person who just moved into town is a kindergarten or 1st grader. So obviously that was going to be an issue, right? But again, today bus 23 literally had to stop because the other bus, and it doesn't have a number on it, so I can't say for sure which it is. But their stop sign was up, and they're literally crossing paths. So just to bring that to your attention in terms of busing in my area for the Hope kids.
Yeah, we know that some of that was inevitable.
Sure, understand.
Because of the kindergartners and not wanting to split families and so those logistics. I will do a full analysis to answer Bobby's question specifically. What I can tell parents is we have not added any buses in order to accommodate bringing students up to North Situate. We did not have to add any additional buses. So we haven't incurred that cost, but we will look at it all very specifically for you.
Right. Because again,
Yep.
they're passing each other.
I
So
know.
so it's tough when that neighbor, right, just moved in and literally the 3 houses around it are all Hope kids. And that poor kid now is going to another school, not with the neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody else here that would like to make a public comment? No one at home? Going once, twice? Okay, thank you. I just would like to ask Bob a question. What number are you on this agenda? Because I would like to see if we could move you up, Bob, because I know that you are doing a million things for us right now, and I didn't know you were even going to be here tonight. Do you have a presentation or an update? You just want to do the change orders only? Oh, okay. Okay. Why don't we just, can I have a motion to move all of the change orders that are on the new business for a vote? It would be items number 2, items number 3, items number 4, item number 5.
So I will make a motion.
So move it.
Yeah, and then we'll do discussion because I think there should be some discussion.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
we're
but
still
yeah.
going to talk
Oh, we're
about it.
just
That's
doing the
what,
changing.
I just want to move it up because
So I'd like to so we're gonna make a motion to take out of order.
take
and
it
then
just out of
we
order
just
and then
say
we'll go
civil-
back to the
Yeah, so
superintendent's
moved, moving
report.
out of order.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the first change order is related to the high school connector bridge. And so I don't know whether or not I think this is getting a little bit more of attention based on the last change order, which was significant. I think it should be noted that these are not that material considering most of them aren't considering the size of the projects. But I think it would be helpful just to kind of give us a very brief overview as to why this particular change order for the high school connector, which by the way, looks fabulous.
Yeah.
I love it. So such an improvement to what was there.
So there were three changes in this. The first change order was for some masonry repairs. There was some known,
This is all specific to the connector.
all specific
Yep.
to the
Okay.
connector. There was some known interior repointing that was needed, but when they took the old roof off and exposed it, it was a little more extensive than we thought. And as we were trying to put it together, the only real opportunity to fix it was prior to putting up the new structure. That was for about it was for $1,021 of the total. The second one was for some changes to the roof details. So the construction up there was a little different. Some of the dimensions were a little different. Once we put the new steel up there, we had representatives from Garland, the roofing manufacturer, come. They discussed with the contractor some changing of the details to make sure that that portion of the roof remains under warranty. That led to a little bit more work. And they needed some expansion joint pieces that weren't on the original plan, so that the roof maintained warranty. So that was for $3,360. And then the last one was, originally we planned to leave that open and exposed to the structure. As they were installing the roof, we realized the screws needed to support the roofing came down a lot farther and were much more exposed than we were anticipating. We discussed possibly cutting them off. There was some limits on what we could do on cutting them to maintain the roof warranty and the wind rating. And the solution we came up with was just cover them up so nobody could get access to them, put a new ceiling in. It keeps all that exposed and unexposed. And that was for $3,461. So total of those three was $7,842. Those were the
Any
changes.
discussion? Do I have a motion to approve change order for $7,842 for the high school connector bridge?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I just want to say one thing, and I know you're gonna, you might not like it, but when I see something in here for $560, I'm worried about the work getting done. Why is it coming to this committee? And even the 7,800, what percentage of the entire project is that? 0.001? I mean, it's nice to know that, but we hire people, there should be a threshold. And so it doesn't have to wait, as Erica said, a month for them to get the work to be approved or to get the people paid. I know we're going to talk about this in the next one of the agenda items, but I just feel as though for something $565, really? Okay, do I have a motion to approve $565.80 for the concrete curb blocks at the high school and the middle school?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next one is, and maybe we'll get to hear from Bob after all. The change order for, unmarked sewer line location to allow for installation of pump house at the high and middle school for $16,893.57 for the well.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Should be.
Bob, is that the one you came to talk to about? Well, if you, since you're here, because I'm totally surprised, if you could come up and it's about the well, and I'll tie it back to the sewer line. Can you talk to us a little bit about this change order, and how this is impacting the project as a whole? And where do you see the project in as far as completeness, and where does this sewer line fit into that completeness?
Okay, I'm going to give you 30 seconds of history.
Just the middle school and high school, because I know Rockland Oaks.
Right. not-
Thank you for everything you're doing with that,
well,
by the
well,
way.
Thank you. I appreciate, you're very kind. Um, when we started the original design, we went back through, I did this myself, and then one of our other engineers, who you may have met, Steve Combe, we researched and reviewed all the archived drawings right from the original construction of the school, because we don't like surprises. And the good news is you had a lot of, you have all the original drawings, and they were preserved, which is good. This particular sewer line was not identified on any drawing. And I've actually gone back and done a sanity check on that, that we didn't miss it somehow. It happened to be when they were excavating for the pump house foundation, they got this surprise. Here's a pipeline that, yeah, that is there that wasn't supposed to be there. So they ended up having to, we had to, redesign some things out there and route the pipeline around the pump house, so that we could continue with the construction. In that situation, we did authorize the work, because if we didn't authorize the work, everything would have come to a screeching halt. And we're trying to keep the project moving. Unfortunately, in that courtyard, we've had more than a few surprises in there. Things just were not identified. So the good news is the contractor's done a very good job on that, but we have the $16,800 and some odd dollar change order that we have to deal with here, because we had to relocate that pipe.
And I know that what you just said is telling. I mean, you're moving along with this project, but there could be other surprises as you go. I see the one next to it that's coming with the asbestos pipe. Do you, in your opinion, overseeing the contractor that's out there now, do you anticipate anything else at this point in time that could potentially be something bigger, like $140,000 for a fire suppression system that we did not see? But do you see anything large like that? And the good news about this, we've been pursuing a lot of reimbursement on this project. So these amounts will be absorbed by the bond and the town. But do you see, in your opinion, in putting these types of systems in, that we are at risk or vulnerable in any other areas?
Okay, we're at a point where we have excavated the entire lower area of the courtyard. Most of the issues we've been having were subsurface. Now I'll come to the asbestos issues in a second. We've uncovered them, we've identified them. We've got most of it quantified. There was we had some change orders approved on that. We don't see, we're still working with the electrician for the routing of the primary electrical service from inside the electrical room in the addition back to the pump house. That's still being worked out, but I don't see any major item remaining in here that would come up.
And when do you anticipate this piece of the project to be complete?
Well,
You're getting there, right?
Oh, we're getting there. The pump house is the building itself is done. The tanks inside, they're actually moving relatively aggressively here. The problem we have now is that one thing that wasn't really in the project was asbestos remediation. The school had a lot of remediation work done in the past. We had to, due to a particular set of reasons, we had to remove a pipe segment in I'll call it the mechanical/water room. That was that first change order for asbestos remediation, and then the work was completed by the
Well, I get
contractor.
worried about the asbestos because, as you know, that
Yeah.
can balloon up
Yeah,
into some big
exactly.
money.
Then we uncovered a pipe that was probably part of the original construction. It was an asbestos cement pipe that was outside, in the courtyard. That got remediated. Our situation now is it was a component not directly involved in the project. It's a pressure regulating valve inside on the water system inside the mechanical room. It's failing. Okay. It's leaking badly. We're dealing with it temporarily.
Not something that you had.
It wasn't part of the original scope of work. It was downstream of the work. The problem now is that we've got a mechanical contractor on site. It's like, listen, we've got to get that replaced. The problem is that pipe has asbestos insulation on it, and there were some other pipes in there. What we did is we had the contractor give us two
Is that the
quotes.
next item for $4,389?
I don't,
Is that,
I don't believe that's, no.
or is that the one you sent today, the
That's the one
12,000? So
today.
there's an additional, that's what I'm thinking of. So,
think we knew about that.
no,
No,
no, well, no, Jay sent us an email saying that, is that the one he's talking about? And this is in addition to the one that's on the agenda
Let me
tonight.
make sure we're clear. The asbestos remediation, it was, we're calling it change order 7, was $4,389. That was for that exterior pipe.
Oh, I
ground.
see. Okay.
The latest change order was, that's number 10, asbestos abatement. That's $10,615. What that is we had the contractor quoted 2 ways. One, just remediate the asbestos on the pipe we had to work on. But there are other pipes inside that mechanical room that have asbestos insulation on them. So they gave us a second higher price, which is the 10,615. I said, just remediate. Let's just get this done. Because
Okay.
if you don't do it now, someone's going to be coming back in a year or two to
It's
do it.
not, and again, it's not, it's the 10 that or 11,000 that we were notified of. You said approximately.
It's not
I
on
do-
the agenda though.
It's not yet.
No, yeah.
It's not coming on the agenda yet. Do you anticipate any, once this asbestos is cleaned up, do you feel as though that,
That is all the asbestos, and we re-inspected this as recently as yesterday morning. That is every inch of asbestos insulation in that mechanical room that anybody can find.
when do you anticipate that the water will be available for the middle and the high school?
Well, service is being maintained at the school with a temporary pumping system.
When does
Okay.
it go to the regular?
We
pump
originally,
house?
the most recent schedule had us being completed by the end of October. That's probably going to get pushed out again because we have to stop to deal with this asbestos issue because we've got to deal with this leaking,
Okay.
pressure regulating valve.
Okay, and the RFP for the other piece of the program is going
That
out on
the
Thursday.
pre-bid meeting is Thursday. Bids are due, I don't know, about a week and a half or 2 weeks after that.
Again,
So we're getting there.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. One other thing I'm going to mention is that we were in discussions with Department of Health and the Infrastructure Bank, and there's another program that we think you might have some eligibility for. It's called emerging contaminants mitigation. And we've only had this initial discussion. We've had a discussion with them though, that we had to the school had to shut down and decommission the original well number 1. And that was because of PFAS contamination in that well. The other 2 wells don't have it. And obviously there's a third well. And we've entered into a level of a negotiation with the state to see what level. It won't be a huge amount of money, but there can be some potential cost reimbursement eligibility for
The
that also.
worst thing that we want, or that we don't want to happen is putting all this money into a brand new system and then it doesn't pass the health department test.
Of course not.
So
Of course
I'm
not.
glad you're watching that as we go.
But we are doing ongoing quarterly monitoring of your wells from,
I know,
from
that's
PFAS, among
every
other things. Yeah. So that is continuing.
All right, fantastic. Thank you.
Carolyn, I had sent an email to you guys about applying for the version.
Yep,
Because that's the same grant that we got for.
North Scituate.
Right.
Okay.
And so that program is out there, and we think you have, I feel very good that you're going to have eligibility for some level of funding from that program
Well,
also.
if it's out there, we should be going after it. You know,
No, well,
every little
we
bit
are
helps.
going after anything we can find.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming and for all the work that you're doing. And maybe we can talk a little bit about what the status is of North Situate Elementary at the next meeting. Okay.
Carol, I
have to
do have
come
a
with
question for Jay in regards to the blockhouse.
Jay, you got to come to the
Is,
meeting.
is that building alarmed? Because it sounds like there's a lot of technology or electrical in there.
It will be. It
All right,
isn't-
the
it
only
isn't-
reason I'm
it
saying is
isn't
that
yet.
or a gate that would prevent someone from getting in
Yeah.
there.
No, it'll be part of our alarm system in the
All right.
building.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve order number 7, removal of asbestos concrete for the water line for the pump house?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. I'm going to turn this back up over to our school superintendent. There was a lot of concern on school safety over the last 4 weeks, and we know our district, we do so much. So I said it might be nice just for you to kind of just use your time tonight just to talk a little bit about what we're doing to keep our kids safe.
Good evening, everyone. My report tonight will focus on, school safety, and the safety in our schools. We've had a couple of incidents in the past few weeks that understandably have caused parents to be concerned. Therefore, I'd like to review tonight the steps, with the school committee and the community that have been taken to ensure that our staff and our students are safe at school. Over the past year, we've made a number of safety enhancements in our buildings. I'd like to thank the District Safety Committee and the School Committee for supporting these additional security measures. We've installed secure vestibules at the entrances of all buildings. As Jay mentioned earlier, the secure vestibule at Hope is just being finished up as we speak. These secure areas are locked and can only be accessed by the secretary buzzing the individual in after they've viewed them on a camera. There are cameras at each of the entrances that have monitors on the secretary's desks, and they monitor those entrances all day. All internal and external glass has been coated with film that's designed for increased safety of school and public buildings. We've placed this film on every single piece of glass surface in all of our buildings. We've added cameras to all buildings, both internally and externally. These additional cameras have been placed around the campus. You will see them, and on some of our athletic fields. We've also upgraded our existing camera system. We found that the age of our equipment was hindering our ability to really utilize the system optimally, and so we have begun upgrading that equipment. All staff have participated in our Alice online training program. There are two parts to that training. The first is a web-based component, which we have completed, and the second is a 2-hour scenario-based training course that we are scheduling currently. Ozzy is working with Jay around that scheduling. We are exploring communication tools from Alice to be shared with families, and that will be forthcoming. Jay did share with me a video training series that we will push out to all parents that they can then watch at their leisure. Each building has a school safety plan that's been updated and reviewed annually. The threat assessment safety teams at each building have been established for several years, and they function very well. The district policy subcommittee has just worked on the threat assessment policy and will be presenting it to the full committee for your first read at our next meeting. I'd like to thank the parents that attended the policy subcommittee meeting for their help and feedback around this policy. We found that their input was really quite invaluable. The police department and the school department work really well together anytime either of us has access to information that could be concerning to the safety of our staff and our students. During the last few weeks, we've had constant communication and collaboration on our report outs to the community. When a situation arose after school hours on social media, the police immediately notified me. I want to thank the parents who reported the concern to the police. This was the absolute right thing to do. If at any time after school hours, a student, a parent, or community member obtains information that is concerning, they should immediately call the Scituate Police. Know that the police will reach out to the district and we will begin working collaboratively. The information is often very fluid initially, so we must wait until we have all the information and it has been validated before we can get information out to the school community. The last thing we would want to do is spread misinformation. The threat assessment team was in communication that evening for many hours as the police gathered and validated information. We developed a plan that addressed the concern concern while providing extra security at the school in the morning based on the information we received. I understand that often the community wants detailed information about an incident, but we are required by law to ensure the confidentiality of all of our students, and this often limits the details that we can share. Just as we cannot share the particulars of our safety plans, we often cannot share the details of an individual incident or individual student. In an effort to answer community questions and concerns, the chief of police and I will be meeting with a parent soon to discuss additional concerns she may have specifically. Our cooperation and collaboration are critical in these situations. I feel good about the channels of communication we have established. I rely on the police department to determine the credibility of a threat and make recommendations to me about steps moving forward. They are often in contact with the Rhode Island State Police during these situations, and they rely on their extensive knowledge and experience in school safety. In conclusion, the relationship we have with the local law enforcement, the additional facility safety features, the school committee policies, and building-based threat assessment teams collectively provide a system that ensures student and staff safety are our top priority. I recognize these are difficult times, and only by working together can we protect our greatest assets, our students and our staff. I'll entertain any questions from the committee at this point.
Michael Smith, 241 Hope Furnace. You guys talking about possibly adding additional school resource officers? I believe we have one for the whole district, right? They're most of the time spent here. Hope School, how long does it take to get there if there's an emergency? The school is extremely far away from even the police department now. So is there any look into that? I mean, when we had all these emergencies, I know you guys had people at pickup, I think, at the Hope School. Drop off. Okay. Drop off and pick up. Okay. Middle of the day, something happens. Really? I mean, that's all I have to, I mean, we start thinking about that. So are you guys looking into maybe adding that to the budget next year?
That is not a discussion that we have had, but certainly the committee can talk about that come budget time and discuss it with the town council and the town.
Okay. Because I mean, one for 5 schools, right,
Mhm.
is kind of crazy. I mean, it's great that I know the threat was here. My son doesn't go here yet. But even that, we're all scared, obviously. So having that, I mean, I've never seen an officer at Hope School ever.
I will, there are frequently officers at Hope School. I will tell you, they generally are in an area where you wouldn't notice them
Sure.
necessarily unless you were looking for them.
Mhm.
I have been out there, been in contact with the chief. He's told me he's going to have an officer out at the school, and I get there and I don't see them, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And they are in fact there.
Yeah.
I do know anytime I hear what you're saying,
Mhm.
I do know anytime I call the station and speak to the chief, he's always very generous and immediately,
Completely agree with
yeah,
you.
he,
I mean,
he
the chief's
sends
wonderful.
people
Not
right away.
It's more just.
Yep.
I know that their pay comes out of this budget. I'm pretty sure.
It doesn't. So that I just
Oh, it
wanna-
doesn't?
Yeah. So
Oh,
I just,
all right.
so historically, what I wanted to share with you is that and I can't remember the year it started. It was there were federal funds that came out for this. So the first SRO was funded. This was before Kevin's time. My husband was an SRO in the town through the Scituate Police Department for, I don't know, 16 years. Prior to that, it was federal funds that came, and they came in through the schools, and everything was funded. The SRO position was funded through the school budget.
Yeah.
At a town financial meeting several years ago, a motion was made to remove, some of those money had gone away, and then the school committee absorbed the cost because we thought it was important to have at least a district SRO, because prior to that, there was nothing. So we would finance that through our budget. A motion was made to remove that money from our budget and place it back into the police budget. It wasn't the full amount to, because there's benefits, there's this and that. So as of right now, there are $0 allocated in our budgets for school resource officers.
Oh, okay.
So and I
Yeah.
know it's kind of from the
Well,
same
I'm just
big
trying to figure
pot,
out like
but yeah,
who the
just
fight would be with then, I guess. Is it the town council?
so
I think it's a collaborative.
it is.
I mean, I don't want to say fight. It's just
Yeah,
the sense
no.
that, like, of course, we're worrying about our children, like we all are, and I mean, yes, I've seen officers there when we, as the PTA, pay for them to be there to when we do a school event. But as a whole, I mean, I'm at the school a lot, and they can hide all they want. They're not there. Their majority of their time, I think 80% of their time's here, which I get. It's a lot larger of a school.
That
But
is
being
true.
that I mean, it was different when the police department was on the other side of town too, right? They were around the corner. So an emergency happens. They're now on the other side of town now. So like a real emergency happens at Hope,
Yeah, they have.
nobody's
patrol
coming.
Do they have patrols in Hope though?
I
Kevin
mean,
can
they
probably
probably
speak to that
roll
best.
through at some
No,
point or
so-
another, but it's like,
The question was meaning if something happened in Hope. So I said you could speak to the fact that when the patrols are on, there's a north car, a south, like there
Yeah,
are
there's,
people.
they split the officers in half. So Plainfield Pike would be a south patrol,
Yeah.
south, and then there won't be one up north. So there's one.
Mhm.
However, you would be calling for mutual aid from
Of
Coventry
course.
and West.
yeah,
Warren.
yeah, yeah. Which
Which
we're
is
up
very
the line, and even, I mean, do they mutual aid from Cranston even?
Yes,
We're right there
well,
too. I mean,
and you have
yeah,
an
it's just
emergency
more in the
like
sense that they're not familiar with our schools.
No, no,
Of course
no,
they're
no.
not. So I'm just starting to like, you start the ball rolling on, oh, well, we got mutual aid. Well, they don't know our schools.
I mean, the other issue you have is, the town of Scituate Police Department is very small.
I completely understand that.
And
I mean,
that
but
makes another
and that's why
headache.
maybe we need to start looking at federal funding then to get SR officers in every school. But I think that's really important that we should start really focusing on, especially with, we're 30 days into school and we have how many threats already? Crazy. So
I will say as a parent, not even as a school committee member, but as a parent that has been involved in Scituate for going on 20 years now, I will say that anytime there has ever been any form of issue, the Scituate police have shown up in force.
Oh,
and not necessarily
I'm a big
So
police
I-
supporter, and I know that
yeah.
you were just named. I mean, I was at the town council
Safest
meeting.
community,
Safest
yeah.
community. We
I
want to
know.
continue that.
I know.
So I just look at it like, look, this state with gun laws, they just passed them a couple of years ago. So now I'm not even as a concealed carry holder allowed to bring my gun onto school property.
Mhm.
So I can't even protect my own kid when I pick him up from school.
Mhm.
Because I'm a law-abiding citizen. So
it.
that's
No,
that's the
I-
issue, right? So like, and you guys didn't create those laws. I'm just
No,
trying to
I-
see that an
1,000%.
officer who is allowed to have that gun, or I mean, that's who we call the people with the guns when we have issues. So
I
all the
think- I think
anti-gunners.
It's a conversation that has to happen during, which is coming up.
Oh yeah, no,
The
I'll
next-
be at it.
The next
I don't-
budget, it's the budget session.
Okay.
Because it's all about like the priorities,
Sure.
right? And I have to tell you, this town council and this school committee, they collaborate on several things. I mean,
Well,
it's,
I mean, I was
so
working
and I
with
think
Jason
they
last year
work
on
really well
door
together.
locks and all these different
Yep.
things. Then I was
Yeah.
actually referred over to the chief of police at Hope
Yeah.
because
We
unfortunately
work very
Jason worked with
closely
me
the
on
town, the municipal
we-
side.
We couldn't, fire code is a certain thing too. So that's a whole nother thing. So now we know we need to, if we do want to secure our doors more, we have to have a push bar that does top and bottom lock and lock at the door here.
Yeah.
That's the only legal way from the fire code now in state. So that's thousands of dollars per door though. So at the very least, I think, I mean, if we don't do that, which probably costs our school a couple $100,000 most likely, and we don't have that. I mean, we have peeling paint we're worried about rather than like a locked door. So I'm just trying to figure out where to go with it. So thank you. I think
No,
you guys helped me a
it's
little bit, at
important
least
to be
starting.
raised and keep it in the forefront, but it's got to be raised during the budget discussion.
Perfect. Thank you
coming
guys.
up.
Well, and honestly, the other thing you can go to the town council meeting because
Oh,
the
I'll
chief,
bring
the
it up.
chief of police is there and ask him, we don't really control what the officer does
Yeah.
or where he goes,
Gotcha.
but the police chief does. So he
Yeah.
could say, you know what, this day here, go to Monday, you go to Hope.
Yeah, I
Wednesday,
mean,
you
it's
know.
something, because I just know majority of the time is spent here, which I know there's majority of the student bodies here too. It's just trying to equal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else, or any other comment that you'd like to make on the school safety? I thank you, Lori, for putting that together. But it is obviously concerning, to us as well as you can imagine to the parents. I get it, especially
Honestly,
it's a
I just
different
want to
day.
do a shout out to Jay because he's the one doing, I think the film is
Yeah,
outstanding.
we've done a lot of stuff
You
with putting film on the glass and trying to put this, the telephone, the communication systems in the schools. But a lot more needs to get done. I hear you. Okay, thank you so much. We're moving on to the Director of Finance and Administration. I see that we have zeros all the way down, so we are right on target.
Yes, at this time, no material changes to the projection for 25, but it's still very early. There's a lot of information in the packet because I did a soft closeout of FY 24 and status of where we're at in 25. It's a soft close because we're still reconciling with the town. They're on a cash basis, we're on accrual, so we have payables and receivables we have to book based off of when they have cash in and out and their expenses. So at the end, it's always a little tidying up. So that's why it's a soft close. I just
And we're
wanted to-
still at a $25,000 surplus for
It's
24.
actually, after the payables, it's around 7.
Can't get closer to zero.
Yeah.
That's very
How's
good.
that?
That's very good.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you. So I kind of wanted to, because there's some points to be made about 24 that have to do with 25. If you don't mind, I kind of have some intertwining notes, but if I get too confusing, stop me and I'll go back. So in FY 24, you can see we received more revenue than projected, of total of $159,180. That increased revenue was from tuitions, extra students coming in, and state aid. The increased revenue helped to offset, we had lower Medicaid revenue than usual, increased special ed and private sources costs, as well as DCYF costs. To touch on that, in FY 24, DCYF costs increased from $76,836 to $90,513, a total of $13,677 per student placed out of district by DCYF. And in FY 25, the cost has increased to $107,907, which is an increase of $17,394. So
Did we budget that in 25? So how
No,
much?
because we did not have those figures when we were creating our budget.
So
That, I
how
want to
much-
stress to the committee, that is per student.
So how much of an increase is the special education cost that you just mentioned above what we budgeted?
So in 24, we spent, I can give you the exact, but I was going there. We spent $440,614 in costs related to tuition to private sources and tuition to ed service agencies like DCYF, et cetera. And that was approximately 158,000 more than projected. See, I anticipated your question.
See that? 158,000 that we have to find.
So it's something to
That's
keep
why
in
we can't
mind.
get the resource officers.
As I'm going to be watching the lines closely in 25, obviously I'm going to be watching those costs, knowing that they went up to that.
We need to, the committee needs to, I won't be here, but really do a real scrubbing of that quarterly because of these courses coming in. And then the other thing is that I would highly recommend at the next quarter, you start doing an analysis of your turnover number to make sure that you're gonna hit that 400 and some odd $1,000 number. I know that there's been some positions that we didn't fill over the summer and some of them were on ESSER and things like that. So you will have a leg up, but that's a number that's going to have to be really monitored beginning at the first of the year, because you're only going to have 6 months if you don't hit that turnover. And if you don't hit the turnover, you have some time to figure out how you want to rearrange staffing, what positions you want to fill, not fill, or what you're not going to buy. Okay. And keep your eye on the special ed costs.
Another thing I wanted to note is the transportation costs. Sorry. Oh, I thought he asked me a question. Transportation costs had contractual increases this year of approximately $90 a bus, as well as an increase in costs due to additional rides needed for athletics to play at other field, Cato being closed for the majority of the 15 months of that fiscal year. Costs increased for statewide transportation as well. These are special ed students, again, displaced students, private school students, CDE students, ESSA students, and charter students. So when we take a look into 25, and the transportation costs are now going up $26 a bus in FY 25. I am hoping with the field open and one less bus, the opt-in opt-out program, we're hoping to offset some savings and see them this year. I, of course, will be watching the statewide transportation costs and with all the increased needs of students needing these services and being outsourced. Going back to FY 25, our Adjusted indirect cost rate, some good news for FY 25 is 9.57% from 4.72% for restricted costs. Indirect cost reimbursement is an offset for grant management on particular grants that goes towards the administrator of the grants, offset a salary of the grant manager
Bottom
himself.
line go up too, or just the?
Just the indirect costs.
So we still have to take it from program to pay the indirect costs that are owed to us?
But for the ones where I'm the fiscal agent, that helps us out.
Okay.
So, that means we'll have an increase of the indirect cost reimbursement of 4.85% to each of the grants that I manage that offer this indirect cost rate. So that'll come off, my administrative costs, which is great. I'll be watching the subs and sick timeline closely as well this year. Now that we have the object codes broken out to reflect direct usage easily in Tyler, we will have a better idea of the increasing costs surrounding this line as it's happening, which allows us to plan for offsetting these costs. Our diagnosticians line, of course, I'll be looking at. It's going to be a focus this year since we will no longer have that offset from the mental health grant to fund towards that line.
We did put that in the budget though, but we have to watch it. I'm very worried about ABC. I mean, the behavioral health services are ballooning. And and if you go back over the last 5 years and look at the trends of that, I mean, people have to understand when they're requesting that, or I worry, and I don't mean to offend anyone, especially our educators, but it is getting harder and harder. I get it. But is there a line between classroom management and then having to bring in to handle, the students in the class and automatically just, moving a child out or moving resources in? I'm only saying that because it's hundreds and hundreds of thousands more than what we used to spend. Hundreds. We spent 80. What did we spend what is in the budget this year? Our annual cost for that line was $80,000. What was it? What do we have in 25?
We have $263,360.
In 25,
Mhm.
263? I don't think I think we're gonna go over.
So I just want to say, Carolyn, I know we budgeted 80 in the past when I first got here and maybe before I came, but I will tell you that at that point in time,
No, the kids have changed.
no, but the IDEA money that was coming to the collaborative, the amount was much higher. That IDEA money has been cut drastically, and John Magner used to take, there was always a surplus at the end of the year, and he would take that surplus
Defray that
and it would
cost.
defray that cost. So you weren't getting a true
So
picture.
why don't we look at the total federal, local and state money that has been supporting those services to see what the trends are? You know, what I mean, go back 3, 4 years. And to me, I feel like COVID came social and emotional. I just feel like the need went up. I don't know.
The need has gone up, and the federal dollars to this area around IDEA have gone down dramatically.
I just think principals who are now the keepers of their budgets, they have to be cognizant of when they add this, something else has to drop off. Because it's only so, the resources are only what they are, you know. We get one child and we're $158,000 over our budget. So I feel like I'm gloom and doom tonight. I didn't mean to be. I'm just concerned. Yeah. Okay, keep moving.
FY 2025 projections have no material changes, as I mentioned, for our projected budget at this time. I mentioned the lines I'll be watching closely, but of course I'll be watching the whole budget. And as those projections change, I'll be reporting out monthly. At this time, we've spent 16.78% of this year's budget at 3 months in, which, as you can see on the year-to-year detail expenditure summary graph, my new little graphs, is relative to prior years. So we're not spending more or less. It's kind of in between.
Status quo.
Yep. The second graph shows expenditures by type for FY 25, with our biggest expenditures as typical to prior years and the highest initial percentage: salaries, benefits, supplies, materials, and purchase services as we start up the year, all the items we need to start the year going.
Okay.
Quick audit update. I was working with him, not in person today, but through email. And we're moving through items one by one. He'll be in Thursday, Friday this week, and we'll be setting up a schedule moving forward. For next week, he does have a commitment on Monday that will kind of schedule out when he'll be able to come in or not.
extension on the audit this year.
I've already spoken to him about that. I said, when is the close need, because we're on the new fiscal year, so I didn't even know when we traditionally close. And he said end of December. And I said, I know you need 2 to 3 weeks to get your little book ready. So he said at this time, everything he's asked for, I have given him like this. So
Do
I-
we need a
If
meeting?
there's an extension requested, it is not due to the school department. I'm gonna make that public statement right now.
Do we need a meeting with Karen and Ted? That your auditor, his boss, to find out, just so the schools understand what's the plan here? And last year, I know the state held them up with the state retirement.
right, and there's
Yeah,
always
with the
that
number.
piece as well. So there's some things that are out of our control.
I just don't want to hear again this year that the school did not hold up, because I just want to stay ahead of it,
Mhm.
okay. All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, which I can't wait, we have our director of facilities coming up. Who's been waiting out there very patiently.
Good evening. How is everybody?
Good, Jay. How you doing?
I just want to report that my unified volleyball team had their first game today and we lost to the Okers.
Oh, talk about doom and gloom. Wow, Jay.
I don't know if you heard what I said. We
Yeah.
lost to the Okers at the Okers. So I'm just putting it out there. That's why I'm a little, but we played excellent. The athlete and the
There you
helpers were
go.
unbelievable.
That's fantastic. See, there's a silver lining there.
Yep,
A lot of
very happy.
potential, Jay,
We'll
for
get
the
'em
next
next
ones.
time,
Yeah,
Well, they'll be in our gym next time. So,
there you go.
all right. So I put a brief summary together of both transportation a little bit and facilities. And I just wanted to highlight some of the things that we did over the summer. And again, like I say in the building committee meetings, I really like things that are sexy, like this connector hallway. When you walk by, when you walk through it, you're like, wow. But a lot of the things that my department does, you might not even notice. So I thought it was important to highlight some of those items. And this summer, even though the work isn't complete on the fire alarms, a lot of work happened and it caused the custodians to have to work around it and to really scramble at the end of the summer to get the classrooms ready. So I collected some of the pictures that were real life. Like that left picture was the hallway in the high school on July 25th, and then on August 21st, that's what we're looking at. So I can't-
I want to correct you, because I walk into the buildings and they're beautiful.
no, and I appreciate
Floors
that.
are beautiful. I was just mentioning it.
But you're right. I
I get
for
nervous.
summer and they didn't look like that. So it's,
I know,
it's
and
like when you see from when they
Come
start
in the
to-
summer to have these meetings, like, oh my God, I hope they're gonna be ready for
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
And that's
it always
why
is.
and that's why I thought it was important to grab pictures and let the custodians and my maintenance guys know that we appreciate it. Some of the other things, can you go to the next one for me? One of the things that's on the building committee agenda was to replace all the floor treads. And the ticket is a big ticket item. And my head custodian, you can see the left versus the right. It took a couple weeks for him to do that, but it saved thousands of dollars and so it was just important for me to highlight some of those. I'm extremely proud of that. When I first came here, we were outsourcing the gym floor, and that gym floor we did. And then I had to take a picture with the kids on it. So again, that saved thousands of dollars for us doing it in-house. There's a picture of the old connector, the new connector, and
That old connector with the roof leaking and the pails
And
every.
and it has rained a few times and there is no water in
No
there.
water, no pails.
Some of the other things, and this picture I just
I didn't
took
know
because
what this was.
so on the fire marshal's inspection, they were trip hazards, and my department re-cemented those areas so that he could be happy that no one's
I
going to
thought
trip.
that big black thing was some kind of
Nope.
tar that you put in, but it's now that I'm looking at it, it's your shadow.
Yeah, that's my shadow. There was no way to take the picture.
Yeah,
Oh.
now that's on tape, but I'm like, that looks like they must have put some seal coating. You can tell that.
You're good with the numbers, lady.
I'm good with the
Yes.
facilities too. See, I know too much. I know that that's what seal coating.
What's the next slide? Is it the big, is that it? Can you go back up top for me? Clayville's BMS, the building management system, all of the BMS, they're all done. So all,
So you can control.
I can control all of them
Oh
from my desk.
Goodness, that's massive.
It's massive. I agree. And that
I'm
was,
so glad.
and he's not on the building committee anymore, but that was something that Kevin Venerini was like adamant that, so we did finish that.
We should send him a little notice.
I will, because he was so adamant
very
about it.
instrumental in helping us get that to happen.
Now, I don't know if anyone has noticed, but my groundskeeper had left and I was able to hire, his name is John Mossel. And I'm not gonna lie, he's a home run.
Really?
Yeah.
When, if anybody has been down to Manning, baseball, softball, soccer, well, that's all that he does. Like, he's like, I just want to go down and I'll see you at 2:30. And that's what he does. So I'm hoping that the town, our teams are currently not playing baseball, softball, but I know that the town plays. So
He
I'm
does
hoping.
do more than that, Jay. There are
Oh.
places on this campus that, I have seen, and there are certain things that drive me a little crazy, and I'm like, that area just looks horrible. Like, how come? Well, I'm sure someone's going to get to it, so I'm going to stay in my lane, right? Like, somebody's going to get to it. This guy is finding those areas. Now I'm driving by, I'm like, look at that, it's all cleaned up. It looks beautiful. It's all weed whacked and trimmed. He really is paying attention to some of the detail that
Yep.
is making a difference.
And the other,
Very happy.
and the other thing I want to mention, and I should have taken a picture of it, but over the summer I had a couple high school students that worked for me. And if you remember when they first created that circle in the circle, there was all grass and it upset me every morning that I looked at it. Two students actually weeded it. I went and got rocks and now it's like, looks so much better. We'll be able to put like seasonal mums, whatever Mr. Hassel wants to do, but it looks so much more professional as you're entering. The sidewalk looks good. The circle looks good. It's just important to have a good presentation when we come in. And the only other thing I wanted to mention for transportation is first student, their main office in this area was on Plainfield Pike. They used to call it Metro. And that because of statewide blah, 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 they don't have that office anymore. So we now have Wendy, who is the assistant manager, and a dispatcher located in Scituate. So they were ours always, but they weren't local. Now they're right here. So it's a huge benefit. It didn't change any costs or anything. They're just located here. So that's actually somewhat an additional driver, or, like this morning they were both driving. So it's nice little benefit to have them here. So
Fantastic. Good. Very good.
that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything that you do. You're the home run for the entire district when it comes to our facilities. You really are.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to get to the meaty stuff. We're going to talk about curriculum instruction and assessment.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
So it's going to be a quick update on what has happened. So I'm just going to talk about what we did last year quickly, what we have started this year, and a couple of new updates. We did the last year we did a comprehensive need assessment of all of our curriculum documents and the curricula. You heard most of it when the Miss Blanchett was here, but also for documentation purposes. We realized that we didn't have a lot of curriculum in writing. So the entire year, I'm very proud to say that the entire faculty has worked. And now we have curriculum overview documents for the entire course in all areas from K through 12 in every class, minus a few that I'll tell you why we don't have them. Scope of learning documents is essential learning standards, what units are, what the lessons are. So for those, we have created most of them. The curriculum overview is just really a topic and the standards, and we really try to look at when the assessments were happening and make sure that we're assessing, instructing before the assessments.
What are you doing with how are you taking these documents and using them to improve instruction or improve the teaching and the learning?
So I want to just once I'll get to that in a second. I just wanted to talk about the world language and art. We had the whole team from the district and they completely rewrote their curriculum. So that was our work done last year. For the curriculum overview documents, we did use them in our data meetings when we looked at RICAS and PSAT, SAT, and looked at when we are teaching the
But are the
standards.
teachers actually using these documents and they're okay?
Yeah, yes. So they're actually being much more used this year. If you go to the next, I'll talk to you about that a little bit about our PD on the last slide. So what it was happening this year, everything in green is going to be the area that we have to either write or adopt a new curriculum. So that is really important in our planning of our budget for next year. So the greens, science, we have to by law adopt a high quality curriculum material by June of this year. We had thought that they're going to postpone it. They told us they did not. So this is the year that we really have to pilot many different curriculum materials and plan to purchase them. For computer science and financial literacy in the PBGR policy, you saw the plan that we have. We just have to kind of memorialize that and make it a documentation. For mathematics, this is a year 5, so we do have to assess and see whether we want to continue with the curriculum material that we have. As of right now, I can tell you elementary is sticking with what they have, which is Eureka. For middle and high school, we are going to be having a discussion, and we have a meeting this week to discuss that. For PE and health, we have a meeting set up. So all of these, we have meetings set up to actually determine the course of action and how many hours are needed to do the curriculum work. For counseling and library media, which we have never had a curriculum document. The first day of PD was started. We gave them a model from 2 different districts. So they started the whole day, 6 hours. The entire counseling department worked on it and the media specialist. So media specialists, we don't have anything in writing for grades 6 through 12. K through 5 has a really great curriculum that was done by Mr. Deckney, correct? Yeah. So that is the work that has to get done. For assessing and planning, ELA is a big deal because high school, the curriculum that they are using is no longer going to be in, they're actually discontinuing their work. So we do have to decide on something for the high school. So our plan is to do a middle school, high school look, and also K through 12 to see whether we want to continue with the American Reading Company and Springboard, which we can't use anymore.
Are you because I see mathematics on the green side, is Agile Minds going to be discontinued?
The Agile Minds is not going to be discontinued. We have used it for 5 years. So this is a year that we want to review to see if we're going to stick to it or not. But the new curriculum verification tool that just came out, Agile Mind is not really used in a lot of the districts. So we want to look at the high performing ones and maybe get some of the materials. Family Consumer Science is the FCS. And I put it here because the high school is actually working to apply for 2 new pathways for the CTE. They had submitted their intent to apply for an education pathway and a visual arts pathway. So the education pathway would be a part of the family consumer science. So depending whether we get that pathway approved by right or not, the curriculum has to be rewritten. Next one, please.
Do you sense the teachers are they frustrated because they may have to start with another curriculum, with something new? I feel like a lot of the curriculum, we got it, and then when we got out of the gate, we were moving, and then, the kids were sent home, the teachers were sent home, they came back, we tried to jumpstart the curriculum. Do you feel as though that the curriculum that you're seeing and you're reviewing has had the chance to be more impactful because of you think you've pushed it all the way to the end?
100%. I was going to say that.
Good
And
to hear
yeah,
because curriculum, yes, you do look at it in cycles. It's got to be revisited. But I'm wondering, because of all the chaos that happened within this last 5 years, did it actually have an opportunity to be as effective as it could have been if we didn't? It sounds like you guys pushed it.
they have pushed it. And I do have to say that right now, elementary is running and functioning with no social studies curriculum and no science curriculum. So, again, the standards are just coming out. Science, the green lit material has not even been published much yet, but we have tried to supplement.
Science kits?
No. So we stopped with that. We did gizmos and we're doing mystery science. But again, our sample size is very, very small and non-existent for social studies. So we're on it, but I just have to say next year will be very difficult for them to implement 2 new curriculums. They're not out yet with them. Yeah. They love mystery science, but it's not. Yeah. So we have it a lot more than what we used to have, but again, they still don't have enough. For in area of the curriculum, I just wanted to update everyone that we now have grade level team leaders at elementary schools because high school and middle school have department heads. So there was not a point person. I'm really appreciative for the people that put in for the position so that we have weekly meetings and they get feedback and questions and concerns from their grade levels from the 3 different schools and meet with me. And it has kind of ensured a lot of equitable approaches and practices within the 3 elementary schools. Elementary, again, we are doing is something that is huge and a lot of work. And I have to appreciate Jay for not only doing what he told you he's doing, but he's also helping the technology side of things. So we are doing new standards-based report card, and it is a time-consuming.
God. If you guys get to that finish line, you guys should definitely celebrate.
We're almost there, Carolyn. It
That's
has been an
nice.
amazing, yes. So
We've
I
been
just
talking about that report card for 8 years.
it has been it's very confusing, but you are going to be very pleased when you see this. And I have to again, element. Oh, it's going to be done before you leave. You can see. Yes, it will. Okay. Yes, thanks. And also the MTSS that I wanted to highlight here, a lot of our interventionists worked really, really hard and me last year on creating the spreadsheet that takes all of the information from STAR, Ames Web, ARC, all of our assessment into a spreadsheet so we can take a look at a student with the state assessment scores as who is really at risk with multiple data points. We found a product that is called Analytics and Insights from PowerSchool plugin, affordably so. And through the ESSER 3 funds, we were able to purchase that. That will be on a nightly basis uploaded into PowerSchool, the STAR, Ames Web, and state assessments, and will give us a picture of a student with their behavior, with their attendance to see who is at risk. So I'm really, really proud of that. What are you guys looking at? Not me.
I got you.
Okay. I'm like, is there a question?
No.
So lastly, on the PD day on September 10th, we had differentiated PD for every teacher in the district. If you wanted to see what the feedback was and what the topics were, I have an email that I had shared with you. We did our first learning walk this 9/26. We visited 134 different we had 134 forms filled by the observers. We had four teams of three that attended middle school, high school, and North Scituate. And then we are planning our second PD day, which is going to be the last PD day of the year. That is going to be October 11th. And then we won't have any access to professional development hours or time with the staff. So we're trying to make these count. Last slide. That is the email I was referring to you. It's not a real email. It's called a newsletter. I know it's very, very long, but you have it for your reference. There's a lot of information, feedback from the PD, from the learning walks with live links. I really would appreciate it if you take a look at it. It also has our
Did you send
soft.
it to us?
Yes.
When?
September 17th.
From you? Did it come directly from you?
Yes. Don't open it on your phones because you'll get really overwhelmed because it is very, very long. But it is a monthly newsletter. But it's the beginning of the year. So hoping that it won't be this long for the future months. But it was all of the work that we did over the summer and the shout outs and all of that. So 17th. It's the third Tuesday of each month. Again, Together We Thrive is our theme for the year. So we're definitely trying to kind of showcase and model what we mean by collaboration. I also wanted to encourage you to click on that newsletter. There is a soft opening of our website for the teaching and learning that has all of the curriculum documents and information for parents and families. And I would love your feedback if you think something is missing before we go live. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So any questions?
Talk about Ozzy or the web?
Yes, they're both.
Thanks.
I know that Carolyn said, Carolyn said that Jay was the home run. I'm going to give you the grand slam.
Oh,
No.
Jen.
No, I just have to say the Ochre lost, but the Ochre really lost because a lot of us.
Yeah, they
Just
really
saying.
did lose.
I just want to say,
No, they won though, honestly, in that because so that didn't work out too good.
I'm very grateful for my team, but please don't swell their heads anymore.
Any other questions?
No, that's it.
Thank you.
So much. Actually, I'm going to ask John to, we're going to move on to, I have fire inspection reports.
Packets, right? It's in your
Oh,
packet.
okay. There's nothing to discuss on that?
No, you just need to have a copy of it because the high school was the
Wants
one
us to
that
be
you did
notified.
not
It's the
have.
notification.
And everything has been rectified?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Perfect.
you.
Yes. Yeah.
Saw that. He's just trying to become another Grand
He wants to be
Slam.
Grand Slam?
Yeah, I know.
It's too late, too late.
So going back, and I know it's getting a little bit late, but we did already do a lot of the new business. So, but the next one is important. And I'm going to ask John to actually speak to it. It's the discussion, action, vote, and procedure for approval of change orders. John, could you go to the mic and just give us a little bit of a background on that?
Very briefly.
I apologize. I should have put this up front too. I know you've been sitting
like
there,
happy with that.
but I apologize for that. I didn't think of it.
As you know, we had to go to the council to have a change order, for a very large change order approved for the fire alarm. And as a result of that, there have been conversations between myself and bond counsel. The projects that you do come from two buckets of money. One is your capital account. And for example, the connector was done with the capital account. The school committee exercises complete control over the capital funds. So for example, tonight you approved a change order for the connector, which was a capital account project. That change order is approved. That change order is done. The superintendent can submit that change order now and process for payment. By contrast, the well project and the fire alarm project are being funded with bond money in part. And the town's bond council is of the opinion that the town council has to approve all change orders and contracts related to the expenditure of bond money, since the bonds are issued by the town, not by the school committee. I have communicated to the bond council that the care, custody, and control of the schools is vested by state law in the school committee, and that the school committee should be approving them. Consequently, the upshot is that both entities have to approve. What we have done, though, is come up with a process that bond council believes that the town council will approve, because they're being asked to approve the same thing for de minimis approval. For example, the concrete blocks at the end of the parking spaces, $500 and something. The process would be, they still would be approved by the school committee publicly, so that there was no question that they were shown that any change order, that they were shown the light of day to the community. On the other hand, if for de minimis change orders, they would be the town treasurer would be able to approve those. But if
The
he had,
$500 ones
pardon me,
is
the
it
de minimis,
is 5,000?
yeah,
Okay.
but
So anything under over 5,000, and anything that's 15% or if it's higher than 15% of the total project would need to go get the town treasurer's approval, not the council, town treasurer.
correct. That is the streamlining that the town is, he is willing, he
They
believes
haven't
that
approved this
they
yet.
have not approved this
But
yet.
we think this is reasonable. We talked to him about it.
I have, yes, the
Yeah.
chair, myself have had
I was pretty
numerous phone
opinionated
calls
about that.
about that. And the
Well, I
the
just
chair
want
has,
the work to flow, because we only have short windows
I
to get
understand,
work done.
I understand that. On the other hand, we are somewhat frankly limited in terms of what we can do, given the fire code was, such a large amount, both in terms of dollars and in terms of percentage.
Jay needs to get this, because if he's gonna send this over to, somebody needs to send it over to.
Send
and
a
if
pack,
there's
somebody
things-
needs to
there's
prepare the
information
package.
That has to go with it.
Right, and two things have to be done. It needs to be
Must
communicated,
send-
frankly, by the clerk to the town council that we have approved this procedure, so that they can do it at a town council meeting. So we will have the procedure in place. And then the specific purchase or change orders that you approved tonight, other than the connector can go straight for payment. But all the well change orders
Anything on the bond has to. go through this.
be packaged up. I would agree with you, by Mr. Martin, and sent over.
I wouldn't care. We've got districts getting 80 million, 140 million. We're asking for $3.5 million when we've got $40 million worth of work, and we got to send them over $5,500 change order.
I
I've
understand.
already vented to him. I get
Yes.
it. We'll do it. I'm not happy about it, but
I
it won't be
understand.
my
I think
problem
that-
anyway.
Thanks.
I think that you,
For another couple of years. So just to clarify, so we've never done this before, but this is what the process that was determined.
there's been-
Supposed to be doing it, but the council never said anything, and we've never had a problem where we had a problem with the bond, or we went over the bond, or
I think that
in
what triggered,
101 years.
what triggered
we
this
overspent a bond.
was the fire alarm change order.
And
The amount of it.
so, and again, so it's not just change orders, but so,
In
It's also-
101
it's
years,
also-
we never
it's
had a
also-
change order that big.
but hang
Right.
on. So also any contract
Correct. If
that
it's a
comes
bond-
through the
if it's
bond.
a bond contract, the council, their bond council's position is that the town council has to
So
approve it.
But the
obvious,
capital reserve,
but
housing aid, that doesn't have to
but
go through him.
the
Correct.
average school committee person, AKA someone other than you,
Yeah.
does not necessarily know what is coming through where? Like, do you know what I mean? Like when we see a change,
We've got her,
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
We have to keep track of that
There-
specifically.
so you would.
They know it, yeah.
And when it's being presented to us, we would
Yes,
be made
now
aware
they
that
know
it
it.
would have.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We'll tell you.
Now they know it.
How did we come to the $5,000 limit? Is
That
a-
was discussed at length and it went down from 25 to 5.
Discussed is kind.
Yeah, discussed is,
That's
the discussed is kind, and we didn't have a lot of leverage in the conversation.
Retain our autonomy and our authority and not get locked up, because if we had something that was anything under 25,000, everything you saw tonight would have to go back to the town to get Ted into approve. And Ted asks a million questions. He's just not going to rubber stamp anything. So we said, listen, we have. What are you looking at me like?
No,
He's just
you're doing a
looking-
great
he's
job of
laughing.
explaining.
But so maybe, but we've, to our credit, we kind of wore poor Bob, poor David down to the 5,000, which he thought was reasonable. So anything over 5,000, do you think that's still too high? Remember, it's gonna go now to the town for approval. Just when there's no track record where we've ever done anything, overspent it. Like, okay,
I-
there was $140,000 change order.
Yep. Which was necessary, but on the other hand,
We approved the 140.
Right.
And the 140 was necessary.
yes.
What did we gain by having to go to the town council to let them know that we needed another 140,000 that was critical for the project that we already approved, that now they have to approve?
And
It's
that-
just a layer that I don't think is necessary.
So I'm just looking
I,
through this.
I understand. Unfortunately, though, as we discussed, Carolyn,
I know. the
bond council
David,
disagrees with Carolyn
this
and
is-
myself.
This is also saying that prior to signing any such change, I'm looking at the resolution that's going to be
Yep.
passed by. Prior to signing any such change order or orders, the school department provide to the finance director and bond counsel.
Yes,
So he needs to get everything as well.
yes.
Okay.
We're talking major delays of our projects. But that's going to be somebody dedicated here to haunt them, to hurry up and get that change order approved so we can move forward with a $6,000 change order on, wait a minute, how much is the well? How much is the well?
Jay.
I'm sorry, I just heard that.
$1 million?
It's a million. It's $1 million.
Yeah, no, I know it's $1 million. So we got a $5,500 change order that's holding up $1 million project.
I understand the
It's
the
ridiculous.
concern, but at the end of the day,
Dave is
the
good.
town signs the checks.
They've been signing the checks for
I
101 years.
understand. I
Don't shoot
understand.
I'm not.
I
believe it's
understand
down
that.
this road
I
right
know,
now.
don't revisit.
So I simply
I just
ask
feel
you
bad for the
to
district.
approve this procedure as outlined in the
Tugging
resolution.
our
And
hands.
this is the best we're gonna get.
This is the best we're
Yeah.
going to get for now.
Yeah, perfect.
Maybe
guys should
until we
try to make
prove that
Frank,
it's,
It will not shock me if Carolyn's predictions are correct, that we will revisit this issue at some future day.
I'll leave that to the next
Sometimes
school
people have to
committee.
learn the hard way.
because it's going to slow down all the process.
As my mother used to say, sometimes people have to learn the hard way.
Which right now could also be impeding the well water at, not just here, but at the other.
Can we just make an amendment to this and say that the town treasurer or his designee
Sure,
can approve it
sure.
and
Yeah.
give a copy to the bond council? Because if we're
That's-
approving
That's
and a
fine.
copy, can you make that change?
I can make those changes.
Do we vote on that? Can we vote on that?
We can, sure.
I have one more person that would like to make a comment on this, and then we'll make the vote.
I'll be honest, Michael Smith, 241 Furnace Road. You keep saying that you don't, this goes back to transparency, to be honest. I think that realistically, you were talking about changes earlier. There's certain things I do and don't agree with. I think we should have held accountable the people with the whole roof structure. They should have known how long those bolts were. That should have been something we shouldn't have to pay for. So having this come up as changes so all of us are aware of it, I think is what we've been saying all summer long about transparency. So although you may not agree with the way this order is, I think that if people did homework ahead of time, that we would have, dot our I's and cross our T's a little bit more. Change orders always happen with construction. I totally get that. I totally get it. But although it's $1 million project and it's $6,000 of percentage wise, it's $6,000 coming out of all of our taxes, though, coming out of your budget, coming out of the town's budget, coming out of all of that. So I don't agree that I think unfortunately, people need to do more homework. They need to be better at what they do, the people we hire and the people that are looking at these contracts. And then we wouldn't have these change orders so much. I mean, going back to the roof structure thing, that is absolutely, we put another ceiling in to hide bolts that should have been on plans, that should have been known. So you're sitting here saying, oh, well, it's a change order. I get that. We found a well pipe. Understandable. That pipe was not on any plans. That is something out of everyone's control. The fire alarm thing was completely within control. I know we switched companies. There's a whole bunch of drama with that whole thing. But the fact of the matter is that was absolutely avoidable. 100%. So now you guys are in a position because of hiring a company being the cheapest company. And now you're upset because people are mad you guys had this $140,000 overage. It's a lot of money. That could have paid our teachers at Hope. So we start balancing things like that. That's the issue. So I don't necessarily agree with the whole 500.
We can't use bond money
Agree.
for that, but
Yes,
let
I'm
me
just saying that
let me just
I
tell
don't
you
agree
why
with the transparency aspect. You have to actually show it to the public.
I hear you, but I just want to make sure that we have to balance accountability because it's really about accountability, right? Holding our people doing work in this building accountable.
Yeah.
While at the same time, we got a window this big to get work done and kids back in the building.
Yeah.
So
I
you
was
have
on
to
weed whacking my
balance
kid's
it.
school because nobody was weed whacking his school. So it's great that this building looks great, but Hope doesn't, as you guys saw pictures. So I know you were there opening day. Please go and inspect the school yourself. Jason, I know you're there often, but look at every room. So it's just going back to, sorry, we're changing topics. I didn't mean that. But
I am at Hope every week.
Oh, no, I know. And I know you are. I'm just saying really inspect things because have you gone in the boys' room? You probably don't. Exactly. But maybe you should now, right? That's not why I came up here. I came up here because I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying about just pushing things through. Unfortunately, I think we all need to be aware of it.
So
Personally.
with the change orders, they still have to come to us.
Mhm.
So it's all, the transparency is
Yeah.
still there,
Threshold issue, like,
regardless.
we don't
I
need to
understand.
see the $500.
But if they have to approve it, I think they need to approve it, period. That's my opinion.
Who?
The town council, if it's coming out of the bonds that
Then
they're
we'll get
paying.
nothing done.
So I
your whole
understand.
school
Then
will
we
get
maybe need
repaired.
you to have more meetings more often then, more than once a month. I don't know, or have
We
a
do.
special meeting. I
We
know,
have
no, not on
special
you, but the town council, I'm saying. If you guys are needing them to approve something, that's what I'm.
Yeah, and I think by the way, in a perfect world,
Yes, yeah.
that makes sense. But at sometimes you you can't throw out the good because you're looking for perfection. Is that how that is? I don't remember how that thing goes.
Fair point, though, honestly.
I get you. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve of the procedure for the change orders that are related to the bond projects only?
With the
In
addition,
accordance, with the additional changes that was suggested related to the treasurer and or his designee, and with a copy of the change order to go to the the town bond
you
council.
got that, Penny? So moved.
All those in favor, have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, okay, the next one is the elementary handbooks.
Hello, thank you for hearing us tonight. We don't have that many changes.
Thanks,
Everything is highlighted in yellow for you. So I don't know if you want us to quickly go through those changes or if we can just take questions. It's up to you.
See the yellow highlighted one. Is that why we had two of these? in
Yep, we
here?
highlighted all the changes for you,
Oh,
and the
I
other
did-
one was the,
I thought it was a duplicate as well. I'm like, oh, man.
yeah. So if you go to page, oh.
Can you just
We
go,
can
can you
summarize
go
it, yeah.
through and just give us the substantive?
Yep, so under discipline, we did remove some of the steps there and we created a matrix that we took
Yeah.
from some other districts as restorative practices, goes off of our PBIS system, the major and the minor
And that kind of
infractions.
tiers it for teachers as well. Like the tier 1 minor infractions are things that they should be handling in their classrooms. And the tier 2 major infractions are things that are being reported to us in the office.
Under electronic devices, we added smartwatches with texting and calling capabilities. Lots of students have watches or Apple Watches,
Texting their
and they are
parents.
texting their parents in school. Under homework, we added homework expectations. Research shows that it should be about 10 minutes per grade level. So we wanted to make sure we were setting the standard and that way it was consistent at all 3 buildings as far as that. So those yellow changes we broke down by grade level to be developmentally appropriate for them. And updated the end of marking periods, which is something we do all the time. And then under health office procedures and services, we added standard attendance requirement. It wasn't as clearly spelled out. And these are ones that we've worked with our school nurse teacher team on to be very strict about the fever, vomiting, those kinds of things. So we just wanted to spell that out for families and we did share that separately with them last year. And
How is attendance in your buildings? Is it?
We're working through it. We've really put an effort in sending out like the new attendance policy and encouraging doctor's notes. We've already started sending out 4-day notices to our families who have a month into school and already hit those number of days. But we've gotten, fair feedback from families so far. And I think as we continue to clarify expectations.
It's only, it's only
Yeah.
October
Yeah,
1, too.
exactly.
And other than that, we just updated policies that were new or had changes. So it's reflective in there, but those were the only changes.
Does anyone have any questions regarding the updates on the elementary handbook?
I have a few questions. What's restorative recess?
So we use that as a substitute. So for example, you're technically not supposed to take away recess from a student in the state of Rhode Island. If a student gets into a fight at recess, where we always believe that the consequence should be aligned with what the student did. So we have some restorative recesses. They might be walking laps. We still get them up and moving,
But
but
a
it's
smaller group of students
Exactly.
with an adult. So it's kind of a restricted recess in type. They're still getting outside and moving, but it's not with 80 or 100 other students because they've demonstrated they're unsafe.
And a lot of times,
others.
I'll walk with the student and we'll use it as a reflective time of they're still getting their energy out, but also kind of using it as rebuilding and what can we do better next time.
Thank you. And I know that almost everywhere in here where you have the word parent, you had parent guardian. It's just do a word search because there's a few spots that you don't have that.
Okay.
Okay.
And for the bullying policy, I know you have the statewide bully. Is this I've read so many documents. Is this the one where it goes right to the state bullying policy, or do you reference
It does.
the Scituate?
We linked all the policies at the top under general school information and rules. We
Correct.
linked everything there, but just put the statewide bullying one there. But we can add the link to that one. We just tried to. Oh, and stuff with the state.
Correct. But there, when I clicked on it, it went to the state one as opposed to the one that the district has. I'm just, in
Okay,
case a
okay.
parent wants to draw that connection,
Okay.
with that, just when I clicked on it, I got the statewide policy, but it would be nice to show that in our district website, the policy number, and click on that and it brings you to the same policy, but ours here in the district.
Got it. The link.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
I got
This is like a really small little thing.
Yeah.
Insignificant.
And we can add both too, because these are the, we use the statewide forms, when we're completing our bullying investigations. So that way they'll still have access. So it makes sense to have both in there.
And I'm sure it's already on your radar, but policy 8061 is a policy that the committee is working on. So that I'm excited to bring that to you probably next month for committee approval. Finally getting that done.
That's great.
But that, some of these policies are, 25 years old.
Yes.
So that one's getting done so that
Okay.
it's great that everything here is electronic. So as soon as we change anything with
And we get
policies,
in.
it's an
Exactly.
automatic thing for you.
Yeah.
And we
Well
also
done.
share it digitally with families too. So as the
Yeah.
updates go in, they'll be able to access them that way as well.
Gone are the days of the big packets of paper.
Yeah.
It's all outdated within 2 months, but thank you so much. This is great.
Thank you.
I have a question too on the attendance. If a student has a body rash, they should be evaluated by their pediatrician. Should it be or some sort of medical professional? Many times parents can't get in to see their pediatrician and are brought to an urgent center. It's very hard to get an appointment with anybody nowadays.
Yeah.
Just so you're not limited to
Yep.
that, it gives them space.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Yep.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Anything else?
Okay.
It's great.
Thank you.
Do we get a grand slam too?
There's a term, I got to look
Do
it
I
up.
have-
It's even better than a grand slam.
Oh,
I just have, can I talk?
of course you can. You're welcome to talk on any new item.
Matthew Allen 159. I received a lot of notes last year about Chase being out with the attendance, which most of his had doctors and notes. But per your bylaws of when he had COVID, because he doesn't wear a mask because of autism, he actually had to stay out 5 days longer, which I'm fine. I asked for a homework packet and stuff, and I covered, and he had a doctor's note. But I just wanted to bring it up, like to that extent, if anybody does have a disability, their yes, because he did have so many days out, but because of that. And again, I make my kid do homework all summer long. He's out for tomorrow for an ENT. They sent home a packet. Um, just when parents are getting these notes, even though they're sending in doctor's notes, it's I don't want to be like say it's annoying, but you're like, I'm covering my bases. I'm sending notes like the flu, COVID, whatever the case may be, but we're still getting the notes and we're aware. Well,
Is that an automated thing?
It's something that is actually changing this year. Last year, we were using the.
Not to throw you under the
No,
bus.
here I am. No. Last year, we were using the Ride Nudge tool, which was automatically pulling our attendance records. They didn't care whether it was excused or unexcused. So we, as we were looking at like the new policy, have acknowledged that's been an issue. We worked with the superintendent that like principals are now running our own attendance. And it's just going off of unexcused absences.
Okay.
So as long as you have the doctor's notes, it won't even count against
All
them
right.
this year.
No, that was my only clarification. Like I said, I got a couple notes last year, like 3,
That's good to hear.
but he
It's good to
was
hear what
severely
you're
sick.
Experiencing, yeah.
And like I said, I had doctor's notes for him, and they were still coming in. And again, per the health code of the whole district, it was 5 days at home, 5 days with a mask. But and then he could go like into school with a mask. But if you don't wear a mask
It
for
sounds like though you won't, hopefully won't.
yeah, no,
get
no.
any
I just wanted to clarify, like,
notifications.
and
That's a
ask
good
about that
thing. Yeah,
because I was still getting them. Like I said, he was still getting notes, but he had doctor's notes. So,
yeah,
but it's good to know that they're taking.
yeah. Grand Slam. Okay, the next, do I have a motion to approve the elementary handbook?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Scituate Middle School Code of Conduct. Is that something that anybody would like to speak to tonight?
I think Dana is on here. Yes. Dana, if you need me to do anything, let me know.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Unmute. There we go.
Can you hear? Oh, maybe not.
Give me 1 sec. I just got to reset it and then you'll be
Okay.
good.
I just wanted to kind of before Dana. The ladder of infraction, they have revised it to be a little bit more middle school friendly and more restorative because of the aging. Otherwise, everything else is exactly the same as the other one.
Let's
Dana.
try it again, Dana.
Is she available? Okay.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Can you just go through any substantive changes for us?
Sure, yep, so if, Chris, if you can put that on the screen for me.
I can't see it, but I can tell you, this is I can't, well, here it goes. All right, so this is a new document. These measures have already been in place. We've just memorialized what's been going on at the middle school. And like Ozzy mentioned, this does the wording mirrors the high school document. However, if you scroll down to the infraction ladder or the matrix there, it's, yep, yep, keep going. And right there. So this right here is different than the high school in terms of it being more age appropriate, more developmentally appropriate, giving more room for opportunities to correct the behavior, and discipline is progressive. So this is like I said, a new document, new to the middle and high school. So we'll be looking for feedback from staff and students and families throughout the year and making necessary changes to it. And then we'll present next year's version. I'll present next year's version next summer along with the handbook, and we'll be able to have current feedback on this document. But it's already working well. We've been following the guidelines. Again, the infractions are no different than what we've already been doing. It's just we've put it on paper and made it more transparent for staff, students, and families. And
Let me
that's
make
it.
a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the middle school code of conduct.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Dana.
Thank you.
Okay. Erica.
I'd like to make a motion to
Colleen.
approve the second reading of policy 8205, high school proficiency-based graduation.
Does anybody have, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this item? If none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the first reading of policy 1105, at home instruction.
Second?
Second.
Can you give us a 30-second overview? This is the first reading, just any substantive changes, or did we have, because we always approve in accordance with RIDE, we have that little mantra that we do in communication, in accordance with rules and regulations of RIDE. Is there anything specific to our policy? Did we have a policy?
We did not have a policy prior. This is a brand new
Okay.
policy for Scituate.
But Lori, if you want to share
And
the help we had.
Yeah, we had parents join us, and Jen is in the audience tonight. I worked with her when I was in Coventry. She runs a homeschool family group, and she was instrumental in helping us make sure that we're aligned with Rhode Island state law, and that we wrote a policy that was in line with the district's philosophy, but supported kids and families in the community as they homeschool their children. So I'd like to thank Jen and the other parents that were at the subcommittee meeting. I think that they're
Parents of present homeschool children.
correct.
Perfect.
I think their feedback for us was invaluable during that process. So the policy you have in front of you is aligned to Rhode Island state law. It looks eerily similar to some other communities.
If any verb don't fix it.
Yeah, policies, correct. It does very specifically indicate to families what their responsibilities are, what our responsibilities are, how we will support them, and what they have to do if their homeschool program is approved by this committee. So I would recommend approval. I think it's a good policy. We certainly will continue to monitor it if once it gets final approval. regarding implementation. And if it needs to be tweaked or changed or adjusted, we will bring it back to the subcommittee and then back to the full committee.
Can I ask just one question? And I don't know if
Sure.
I'm reading this wrong or so at the bottom, at-home instruction students who request to attend any academic program at Scituate School will, and it lists, but then it says not participate in the graduation ceremony. I didn't know that. I'm being honest. So
homeschool students do not participate in our graduation, and the reason is because we do not issue them a diploma.
Yes, it's very important.
Yes.
If you're, let's say you had a son that went to Hendricken and you live in Scituate.
Yep.
And your child is educated
Yeah.
at Hendricken, are you going to say, I want them to come to the Scituate graduation because we live in Scituate? So homeschooling is a form of private education and they've opted out of the.
But they can participate in athletics.
Yes.
Correct.
Right? I'm just
Correct.
Rhode
Rhode Island Interscholastic League has provisions for that and they've set those rules.
Okay.
So they can, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can't.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
because
set up in charter schools too.
Yeah.
I'm just having a hard time, the members of I get it. You're right.
yeah, they didn't go to school
Yeah,
here.
no, you're
This
right.
wasn't where they
Yeah, you're
received
right.
their education. It wasn't, you don't put your,
Yeah.
you give your approval to their course of instruction every year, but you didn't. Yeah.
I was just thinking from a non-academic perspective, just thinking about like we're excluded,
So one of the big confusions lies with the RIDE website because they have an FAQ page that states that you cannot get a diploma if you're a homeschooler, that you must get a GED.
And you don't.
Which is completely wrong. Lori's been to our graduation. She knows how.
The homeschool.
Oh, we have a graduation ceremony, cap gown, diploma, the whole thing. But that RIDE FAQ page, I would be so happy if you never send a homeschool parent to look at that because it has so many outdated things, such as that history needs to be taught specifically. I mean, U.S. history and civics specifically in the 4th grade.
Mm-hmm.
That was changed in 2007
and
implemented statewide in 2008. And it's still on there. So there's a lot of outdated information there. And
as a parent, where would you go if you weren't part of it? What would be the first thought? I'm going to go to.
And as a school, where would you send people? You send them. Look at. RIDE has a drop down. Take a look at what they say. So and we've tried several times, like banging our head against the wall to ask them to change, and then we're like, you know what? Maybe we're happy that we're not on their top of their priority.
True. Thank you for your feedback.
We were advised to intentionally omit that from the policy by you.
That's right. Yeah.
Remember you saying, do not put that.
Because there were it was just misguided information. Yeah. And I'm sure from a very well-meaning place, but somebody who just didn't understand.
Sure.
Homeschooling, like you were feeling like people were being excluded, like it was a bad thing.
No, and I appreciate you kind of setting me straight because you're absolutely right? But you're looking at it for parents make a decision.
You don't know what you don't know until you find out.
Exactly.
You don't know.
And I'm the first one to agree. So I appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you. Jen, tell us just back one more second. I know Laura did a brief introduction.
So
tell us.
My name is Jen Curry, and I am the state coordinator for RIGHT, which is Rhode Island Guild of Home Teachers, rihomeschool.com. If you like to check our website out, we've been supporting homeschoolers since 1987.
So any parent in the state of Rhode Island who homeschools their child, this is an organization that is, how are you funded? Is it through we
get a couple of grants here or there, but it's primarily funded through membership, and it's
gotcha. Yeah, just questioning.
It's just $25 a year membership, so it's not really expensive.
But a certain
most of our money that we get in goes to keeping up our 501c3.
Gotcha.
So that we can have insurance.
When
we go use functions. If we go to rent a hall or do something, they want, do you have insurance? Yes, we have a rider. We can get it with you. That's the biggest expense.
Are you the organization in Rhode Island?
There are two. They're in Rich, Rhode Island. So ours is a primarily Christian organization. Anyone can join, but our leadership has to agree with Christian morals and values that we have in our bylaws. But the other organization is Enrich RI, and we work very closely together with a lot of legislative things that come up, school committee meetings and state house things and things like that. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
And I might add, Scituate is one of our favorite. We have some favorite districts, and Scituate is one of them.
Are we a home run or a grand slam?
You're a grand slam. You're a grand slam.
Not a J. Thank you. Anyone? I think we're gonna wrap.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion to approve policy number 1105 at home instruction?
Did we
Okay,
vote?
second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, all those in favor? Any announcements? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.